Good morning. I'm Vincent Kasozi. The High Court in Kampala will hear an application today seeking the unconditional release of Dr. Kizza Besigye. The hearing notices summoning the jailed Dr. Besigye, his aide Haji Obeid Lutale, the Commissioner General of Prisons, and the Attorney General for today's hearing was signed by the Deputy Registrar Simon Zirintusa Chintu. Earlier yesterday, Justice Douglas Singisa had scheduled the case for hearing on the 25th of February, but it was rescheduled for today. In the application filed 2 weeks ago, Besigye and Haji Lutale seek orders for their unconditional release from prison, where they claim they are being held illegally following a Supreme Court judgment which banned the trial of civilians before military courts. They henceforth, through their lawyers and next of kin, Winnie Byanyima, filed a habeas corpus application before the High Court seeking for their unconditional release. Besigye and Lutale had been court-martialed for unlawful possession of firearms and treachery offences. The said application will be heard by Justice Singisa this morning. The government has admitted that the situation of former presidential candidate Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye is alarming. This was during yesterday's plenary sitting in which the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, questioned the government about steps being taken to comply with the Supreme Court directive of 31st January regarding the unconstitutional trial of civilians in military courts. Besigye was arrested together with Haji Obeid Lutale in November 2024 during their visit to Nairobi, Kenya, and later charged before the Army Court. Among noted that there is need to explore other appropriate modalities of confinement, if necessary, other than keeping an ailing suspect in unfavorable conditions that may potentially be fatal. She stated that the continued detention of unwell people sets a dangerous precedent.
I would like to pose the following questions to the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, to the Attorney General, and the Minister of Internal Affairs. 1. Have the legal advisors to government rendered the appropriate advice on the continued pre-trial detention of an ailing Dr. Besigye? 2. What is the legal basis for the continued detention of Dr. Besigye in the cells? 3. Under what instrument does Uganda Prison Service continue to hold Dr. Besigye? 4. What steps have you taken to comply with the Supreme Court directive?
The UPDF has denied involvement in the alleged abduction of Fred Nyanzi, the National Unity Platform head of mobilization. Nyanzi was reportedly seized by heavily armed men on Monday evening. Joel Senyonyi, the leader of opposition and party spokesperson, was the first to report on social media about Nyanzi's alleged abduction. He stated that Nyanzi was taken shortly after leaving a meeting at the NUP headquarters at Makerere Kavule. Senyonyi described the abduction as a panicked response by the regime in light of the ongoing demand for the freedom of political prisoners. The NUP party president, Robert Chagulanyi, also condemned the reported abductions targeting opposition figures. Major General Felix Kulaije, the UPDF spokesperson, denied any knowledge of the UPDF's involvement in the alleged abduction. The Ministry of Health has discharged all 8 patients who had tested positive for Ebola. The patients were in contact with the health worker who succumbed to the viral hemorrhagic fever last month. While being discharged yesterday, Ezra Biegarazo, a clinical officer at Saidina Abubakar Islamic Hospital who was attending to the deceased index case, said he did not test positive for the virus until 11 days later. Biegarazo was speaking shortly after Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng declared that the country had no active case of Ebola since all the 7 that had been admitted at Mulago National Referral Hospital and 1 case at Mbale had been discharged. Acheng added that while there were no positive cases, the outbreak declared on the 30th of January is not yet over, since they still have 100 contacts who have not yet completed their 21 days of follow-up.
9 cases have been confirmed, including the deceased index case. The remaining 8 cases have all done well and are due for discharge today. 7 of them received treatment at Mulago National Referral Hospital Isolation Facility, and 1 received treatment from Mbale Regional Hospital Isolation Facility. Furthermore, 265 contacts are under strict quarantine and monitoring at Kampala, Jinja, and Mbale quarantine facilities.
That's the news. Good morning.